All right, welcome everyone. It's our Thursday, our strength building class. I think last week we did power yoga. We did the longer holds. Today I want to go back to the extra mountain climbers for our strength building day. Yeah. So 2 weeks ago we did six. We did for each plank, we did two, just knee to elbow, two knee to nose, two crossing over. So this week I think we'll do eight. We'll do the knee to elbow, knee to nose, and then we'll do two each side, crossing over knee to opposite elbow. But before getting into that part of class, we're gonna get our black straps out, undo those, and just set those on our laps. And then once we have all that situated, we're closing our eyes, wiggling out that sitting bones, or having that soft gaze downward and getting to come to the breath. And we've all arrived to take this time to slow things down and check in, noticing how we're feeling today. Checking in with your body, noticing anywhere you're going to plan on spending some extra attention. And taking notice of how the mind is operating today, how the be able to slow things down, bring our attention to the breath as we deepen the inhale, extend the exhales out. We're going to do a couple rounds of 4-8 today, breath of life. 4-8, the 4 seconds is the inhale, and the eight is the exhale. And we can attempt this, Definitely feel free to make this our own, making any adjustments. Attempting to double that exhale. And we'll do 3 rounds, and then I'll invite you to count silently to yourselves and to make any adjustments, making it your own, something you can come back to throughout the day, throughout the week. And your next inhale, inhaling deeply for 3, 2, 1. Exhaling slowly, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Another big, deep inhale, taking up as much air as we can for 3, 2, 1. And slowly releasing 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Big inhale here for 3, 2, 1. And slowly releasing 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling here. And counting silently to ourselves, making any adjustments. Making this your own, something you're comfortable with. And you could come back to at work or sitting in traffic or dealing with stressful situations anywhere. Finishing up our current round and returning to the normal breath, the natural rise and fall of the chest. And knowing this is the breath we want to attempt to keep throughout our practice today. Slow, steady, natural breathing. Taking as many breaks as you need. We do not have to do everything. Always take a break if you ever notice the breath getting a little deeper, a little heavier. And staying with the natural rhythm of your breath. On your next inhale, we're squeezing the shoulder blades together, raising the gaze, opening that heart space, find that cow pose. As we exhale, tucking chin to chest, rounding the spine, pulling shoulder blades apart. And then again, inhaling all the way through that cow pose. Extending that exhale all the way through that whole cat back stretch, exploring the pauses if we wish. If one of these feels good, take a pause there, explore some breath retention, hold the stretch. Take this opportunity, connect your breath with your movement, begin establishing that mind body connection. Started on that inhale, finishing on that exhale, on that cat back stretch, and then returning to that tall neutral spine, grabbing our strap and bringing that up overhead. Now we can add as much bend in the elbows as we need. We give ourselves as much slack as we need, but we're just taking this up and over, loosening up the shoulders. One more time, up and over. And then coming up and leaving it right here. Taking another breath in, lengthening, extending tall spine. Exhale, side bend right. Taking this as far as we're comfortable with, and then pulling that right arm down. That's gonna give that little extra tug on that left shoulder. Noticing that stretch in the side body, rib cage expanding, and then your next inhale, we're rising back up. Exhale, side bend left. Taking it as far as we're comfortable going, and then tugging that left hand down. Pull down on the strap and give that little extra stretch in that right side body. And then your next inhale, rising back up, tall neutral spine. Arms staying up overhead and maybe scooting the strap in a little bit. We're coming back to the shoulders. Taking it in maybe a finger's distance. And then going up and back. And second time through, begin to notice where that sticky spot is. That one spot during this motion where you feel that tension, you feel that resistance. Going one more time, all the way back, and then bringing it up overhead and pausing at shoulder height. Shoulder width, taking another breath in, sitting tall, tension on that strap as we exhale, twisting right, gazing over the right shoulder, maybe stretching out those eyes as well. Looking out the right corner of the eye, seeing if we can gaze all the way behind us. A little bit of tension on the strap. We're still warming up the arms. And then your next inhale, we're slowly uncurling back to that tall neutral spine. Exhale, twist left. Add that next stretch, gazing over left shoulder, stretch, maybe stretching out the eyes as well. And your next inhale, coming back to tall neutral spine, maybe scooting our hand in one more time. This time we're going up and over and we're finding that sticky spot. We're stopping right there and then just taking little pulses right in that sticky spot. Next arm all the way up and over. Setting that strap down and making our way to standing. Chair or blocks at the top of the mat. Chair, we can spin that around with the seat facing us. Options for blocks at the top of the mat as well. We'll begin to find our mountain pose. Pedaling out the feet. Spreading the toes wide, gripping the mat. Maybe rocking gently on the heels and toes. And then before getting into bigger movements, doing that quick body scan, noticing how the ankles are feeling. Do we have that slight bend in the knees? We feel the quads slack, start to activate with that little bend. Is the pelvis tucked in? Is the spine tall? The shoulders relaxed and back, chin parallel. We're feeling grounded, feeling strong. Next inhale, inhaling, both arms up overhead. Exhale, hinging at the hips, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, and just hanging out. First forward fold, weight in the heels, weight in the toes, maybe grabbing opposite elbows. Maybe enjoying another little twist, walking our hands over towards the outside of the right foot, towards the outside of the left foot. Maybe stillness this morning. And we're just taking one more big breath in and out. And then next inhale, we're slowly uncurling. Rising up one vertebra at a time as we exhale, relaxing shoulders. Backing down, arms out by the side. Another breath in and out. Then we're inhaling, both arms up overhead. Exhale, hinging at the hips, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, placing hands, left foot steps back, followed by the right, pressing hips up and back. Downward dog, first downward dog, stretch it out, pedal out the feet, bending one knee, dropping the opposite heel a little closer to the mat. Maybe we're pressing away through the palms. Maybe we're dipping that head down, biceps to ears. Kind of just gazing back at our feet or beyond. Hips can raise up to the ceiling as we sink the heels down. Getting good full body stretch here. One more breath in and out. And next inhale, gazing at the hands, softening the knees. We're slowly walking feet up to meet the hands. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. Next inhale, reverse swan dive, arms going out and up, maybe finding that slight back bend at the top, and exhaling, hands to heart center. And again, inhaling, both arms up overhead. Exhale, hinging at the hips, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, right foot steps back, followed by the left, pressing hips up and back, downward dog, inhaling, right leg rises. Exhale, knee to nose, stepping it through, angling that foot out, heels in, toes out, kind of angled out a little bit, walking that left foot back, finding our edge, and then on our inhale, we're dipping in, finding that cow pose with the torso. Exhale, straightening the right leg, tucking chin to chest, rounding the spine. Cat back stretch, and right hamstring stretch, and then playing into these. Connecting your breath with your movement. And just noticing how this stretch feels. How does this knee mobility feeling for you? Do we want to hold one of these? Want to stay with steady motion, connecting breath with movement? Hold one of these stretches longer? Please do so. There's no wrong way to do this. And your next exhale, right foot steps back to meet the left, pressing hips up and back. Downward dog, press away through the palms, another big breath in and out. And then next inhale, left leg rises. Exhaling, knee to nose, stepping it through, angling that foot out, and then taking those pulses on here. Inhale, dip in, squeeze shoulder blades together, raise the gaze. Exhale, touch into chest, round the spine. Straighten the left leg. And getting a good five or six in, depending on how fast we're moving. Eventually, your next exhale, we're stepping left foot back to meet the right, pressing hips up and back, downward dog, big breath in. Exhale, let it go. Next inhale, we're floating out to plank. Pausing here, pressing away through the palm, getting that spine straight, core active. And then we're going to take our 8 mountain climbers, 2, 2, and then 4. We're going knee to elbow, then step it back. Then knee to nose for 2, right down the middle. And then cross it over for 4, opposite knee, opposite elbow. When we finish, another big breath in. Exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, down dog, another breath in. And out. Next inhale, gazing at the hands, soft bend the knees. We're slowly walking feet up to meet the hands. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. Next inhale, reverse swan dive, arms going out and up, maybe finding slight back bend at the top. And exhale, hands to heart center. And again, inhaling, both arms up overhead. Exhale, chair pose. Bending the knees, dropping the hips, choosing our adventure with our shoulders. We about shoulder height, shoulder width, kind of in the middle. We can come hands to heart center. We can raise them up anywhere in between. Weight is in the heels. Giving the toes a little wiggle. Pelvis is in that anterior tilt. Gaze is slightly down. Neck is in line with the spine. Attempting to avoid that neck compression. One more breath in. And then as we exhale, we're hinging, placing our hands in right foot only. Right foot takes that step up and back. And we're finding our warrior 1 feet. Dropping that right heel, toes angled out 45 degrees. We're floating the hands and then rising on an inhale. Sinking in as we exhale. Another breath in, lengthen, reaching, stretching. Strength all the way through the fingertips and the arms on an exhale, finding that humble warrior, beginning to hinge at the hip. We tuck chins to the chest, hands come behind the back, fingers clasp. Maybe they're interlaced, maybe we're just grabbing the first knuckle, and if we have that bind on the hands, we can press away. Press the palms away from the low back. Just kind of raising the fists up. Shoulder blades squeezed together, core engaged, and then your next inhale. We're beginning to rise up, releasing the bind on the hands, both arms coming up overhead all the way to that slight back bend, and then exhaling, slowly lowering. Pivoting right foot forward when our hands arrive, left foot steps back to meet the right, pressing hips up and back, downward dog, big breath in. And out. And then option to flow, inhaling out to plank. Taking those 8 mountain climbers, knee to elbow for 1, 2, knee to nose, 1, 2, cross it over for 4. Breath in. Exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, back bend. Exhale. Down dog, another breath in. And out. Next inhale, gazing at the hands, soft bend the knees, slowly walking feet up. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. Next inhale, reverse swan dive, arms going out and up. Maybe finding slight back bend and exhaling, hands to heart center. And other side, inhaling, both arms up overhead. Exhale, chair pose, bend the knees, dropping the hips. Relaxing the face, unclenching the teeth, adding that little smile. Pelvis is sticking out. Finding that little anterior tilt. Can we give the toes a little wiggle? Wonderful, wonderful. One more breath in. And then as we exhale, we're hinging at the hips, placing hands. Left foot takes that step up and back, dropping the heel, angling that foot out, floating the hands, and then we're rising on an inhale. Warrior one, other side, exhale, sinking in. Knee over ankle. We're still finding that engagement in the legs, still stretching those arms up, trying to grab that ceiling. And on your next exhale, humble warrior, hinging at the hips, tucking chin to chest. Fingers clasped, fingers interlace, and then there's that option to press the palms, press the hands away from the low back, raise them up. Torso's hovering, maybe it's resting on the quad. Core is engaged, shoulder blades squeezed together, and then on an inhale, we're rising up, releasing the hands all the way to that slight back bend, and then exhaling, slowly lowering with control. Pivoting left foot forward, hands arrive, right foot steps back to meet the left, pressing hips up and back, downward dog, big breath in. Exhale, let it go. Then option to flow, inhale, out to plank. Optional mountain climbers, 8, here we go, 1 each side. 2 down the middle. And then cross it over for 4. Big breath in. Exhale, slowly lower, elbows brushing the rib cage. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, down dog, another breath in. And out. And next inhale, gazing at the hands, soft bend the knees, slowly walking feet up. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. And next inhale, reverse swan dive, arms going out and up. Maybe finding that slight back bend and exhaling, hands to heart center. 1 breath in and return to mountain. Wonderful, wonderful. Pedaling the feet out. Returning to that stillness. And we're warming up here. We've all lost the sweatshirts. Layers are off from that mountain pose. Next inhale, inhaling, both arms up overhead. Exhale, hinging at the hips, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, place the hands, left foot steps back, followed by the right, pressing hips up and back. Downward dog, stretch it out, press away through the palm. Dip that head down. Pedal out the feet, and then your next inhale, right leg rises. Exhale, knee to nose, stepping it through. And then before we rise, finding that edge. We did a good little hip warm up already. We can walk that left foot back, find where our body's allowing us to work today, floating the hands, and then we're rising on an inhale. Sinking in as we exhale. Another breath in, lengthen and reach and stretching the arms up. And then as we exhale, goal post, 3 rounds. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, goal post. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, goal post. Inhale, both arms up. This time, exhale, warrior 2, dropping that back heel. Arms out to a T, and we're gazing over left middle finger, checking that edge. Where can we play into that back foot? Holding right here. Next inhale, flipping both palms up. Attention on the on the biceps. And then as we exhale, spinning just the wrist down. And 2 more times, palms up. Wrist down. Palms up. Spinning just the wrist down. Another big breath in. And out. And next inhale, we're coming back into that high lunge, pivoting the left foot forward, sweeping left arm down, and then rising back up. Beautiful. Exhale, sinking in. Another breath in, maybe finding slight back bend. And then as we exhale, slowly lower with control. When our hands arrive, right foot steps back to meet the left, pressing hips up and back, downward dog, big breath in. Exhale, let it go. An option to flow, inhaling out to plank. Pausing here, option for those 8 mountain climbers, elbow to knee, 1, 2, knee to nose. And then cross it over for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, big breath in. Exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, left leg rises. Exhale, knee to nose, stepping it through. Adjusting our edge, floating the hands, and then we're rising on an inhale. Checking on that right foot, we're looking good. High up on the toe pads, calf engaged, arms reaching, pinky finger spinning in. Finding that length, finding that stretch. And then as we exhale, goalpost, 3 rounds, goalpost. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, goalpost. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, goalpost. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, warrior 2, dropping that back heel. Pivoting that right foot 90 degrees, arms out to a T, gazing over left middle finger, this time reaching. Stretching fingertip to fingertip, long as we can get, relaxing the shoulders down. And bringing our attention to our bicep, we're flipping palms up. Notice that bicep pointing up towards the ceiling, and spin just the wrist down. And again, flip the palms up. Spin the wrist down. Flip the palms up. Spin the wrist down. Another breath in here, reaching, stretching it out. Staying right here for that exhale. And as we inhale back to that high lunge, dropping that right arm down, forward. Pivoting on those toes, rising back up. Beautiful. Exhale, slowly lower. When our hands arrive, left foot steps back to meet the right, pressing hips up and back, downward dog, big breath in. Exhale, let it go. Option for a flow, inhaling out to plank. Pausing here, taking those mountain climbers, optional. 2 down the middle. And then 4 crossing over. Big breath in. Exhale, slowly lower, elbows brushing the rib cage. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, down dog. Another breath in. And out. Next inhale, gazing at the hands, soft bend the knees, slowly walking feet up to meet the hands. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. Next inhale, reverse swan dive, arms going out and up, maybe finding that slight back bend. And exhaling, hands to heart center. And again, inhaling, both arms up overhead. Exhale, chair pose. Bending the knees, sinking the hips down, pelvis in that anterior tilt. Smiles on the face, eyes relaxed. Cheeks and jaw relaxed, toes can wiggle here, weight in the heels. One more breath in. And then exhale, we're placing hands, right foot only. Right foot takes that step up and back. Adjusting our base. Floating the hands, and then we're rising on an inhale. Back into that high lunge. Exhale, sinking in. Reaching arms up, pinky fingers spinning in. This time we're going to do 3 little dips. As we exhale, just dipping in, raising back up for 1, and dip down. Back up for 2, 1 more. 3, exhale, just sinking in. Another inhale, lengthening, reaching, and then exhale, warrior 2, dropping that back heel. Arms out to a T. Finding our edge, seeing if we can make any adjustments in that stance. Walk that back foot back. And then here, next inhale, flipping the front palm, leaning forward. Exhale. Reverse, big breath in here. And out, 1 more inhale, reaching deep into that side bend. And as we exhale, extended side angle. Left forearm finds left thigh, right arm, bicep to ear, armpit spinning down, palm spinning down, reaching, stretching. Right side body, nice long line, fingers to toes. Maybe we drop that left hand down, generate that twist. One more breath in here. And out. Inhale, triangle pose, straighten that left leg. Right arm comes up towards 12 o'clock. And we're in triangle. Now in triangle, we are generating that twist now. Now that left hand is traveling down that left leg. We can choose our gaze. Add that little neck stretch. One more breath in. And then as we exhale, bending into that left knee, right arm spins down, forward, and then pauses right there, bicep to ear, back into that extended side angle. And then your next inhale, rising back up to that warrior 2, settling in as we exhale. Another breath in, reaching, stretching, extending arms long. And then as we exhale, cartwheeling hands down, pivoting right foot forward. When our hands arrive, left foot steps back to meet the right. Pressing hips up and back, downward dog, big breath in. Exhale, let it go. Option to flow, inhaling out to plank. Pausing here, option to add those mountain climbers. 2 down the middle. And then 4 crossing over, opposite knee, opposite elbow. Big breath in. Exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, back bend. Exhale. Down dog. Another breath in. And out. Next inhale, gazing at the hands, soft bend the knees, slowly walking feet up. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. Next inhale, reverse swan dive, arms going out and up. Always that option to add that slight back bend at the end, and exhaling, hands to heart center. And other side, inhale, both arms up. Exhale, chair pose, bend the knees. Dropping the hips. Unclenching the teeth, checking on your breath. Can we slow it down? Can we get deep and steady? One more breath in here. And exhale, we're hinging, we're folding, we're placing hands, we're stepping left foot back. Staying high up on the toe pads, floating the hands. And then we're rising on an inhale, high lunge, other side. Another breath in, stretching, reaching. And then exhale, slightly dipping down, raising back up. 2 more times, dip down, rising up, dipping down, rising up, just settling in here. And lengthening, reaching, stretching. Your next exhale, we're opening up, warrior two, dropping that left heel, arms out to a T. Checking our edge, seeing where that back foot can go. Gazing over that right middle finger. Next inhale, flip the front palm, lean forward. Exhale, reversing the warrior. Choosing the gaze. Settling into this side bend. Noticing that right rib cage, right side body. Getting that stretch all up and down that rib cage, into the shoulder, into the armpit. One more big breath in. And then as we exhale, extended side angle, right forearm finds the right thigh, left arm bicep to ear. Palm, armpit spinning down, reaching that left side body, nice long line, fingers reaching. We can drop that right arm down. We are going to head to triangle from here. We can begin generating that twist right here, pressing into the inside of that right leg. And then on your next inhale, we're straightening the right leg. Left arm goes up towards 12 o'clock, and we find ourselves in that triangle. Just slight little adjustments there, a little more intensity on the twist. Staying with our breath. Staying within our balance of ease and effort. And then on your next exhale, we're bending into the right knee, left arm drops down and spins forward, and pauses right there, bicep to ear. Reach it, stretch it. Nice long line, left side body, fingers to toes as long as we can get. And then your next inhale, we're rising up. Back to that warrior two. Settling in as we exhale. Another breath in, reaching, stretching, and then as we exhale, we're cartwheeling down, pivoting left foot forward. When our hands arrive, right foot steps back to meet the left. Pressing hips up and back, finding that downward dog, big breath in and out. And then option to flow, inhaling out to plank. And pause here, we can hold the plank, we can take those mountain climbers, knee to elbow, 1, 2, knee to nose. And then cross it over for 4. Big breath in. Exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, down dog. Another breath in. And out. Next inhale, gazing at the hands, soft on the knees, slowly walking feet up. And exhale, forward fold, and just hanging out here. Awesome, awesome standing practice. We're gonna begin making our way down to the mats. Giving ourselves some time under tension on that low back, maybe playing with weight in the heels, weight in the toes, maybe grabbing opposite elbow, swaying back and forth. What would feel good here? And your next inhale, we're inhaling to half lift, flat back, placing our hands on chair or blocks, heels in, toes out. We're lowering down squat as we exhale. Just bringing the hips down to the heels. We can play into pulsing up and down. We can wiggle left and right. Taking another breath or two, any intuitive movements. And then eventually placing our hands and making our way down to our bones. And bringing blocks to the top of our mats. We're going to bring our blocks just to the outside of our ankles. Choosing our heights. We're kind of in our staff pose, just arms out by the side. And then for this little bit of hip flexor work, tap in the block, the heel, tap outside, tap the block, tap inside for one, and then switching sides. We're gonna get 12 of these. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more each side. And then from here, right leg only. We're extending just that right leg up. And then we're just going to do little tiny circles here. And reverse. And slowly lower and switching sides. Left leg rises, little circles. And reverse. And slowly lower. From here, grabbing one of our blocks. And we are going to take that slow robo down or that Russian twist. We can have that bend in the knees. Blocks in between the hands. And then as we slowly lower, we're just using that block, twisting it left and right. Torso sinking a little closer to the mat with each twist. And eventually all the way down onto our backs. Taking a little breather, little 30, 45 seconds, catch your breath. And we are going to keep the block for the next little core exercise. Just for fun, just to try something out. We're going to attempt to pass the block in between our hands and feet. And if we're not enjoying passing the block, we can just do the hands and feet without the block. It just adds a little bit to it. So getting that block and back in the hands, up overhead. We're full body stretch, toes pointed, arms reaching, block in the hand. And then from here, bringing the block to the feet, seeing if we can get it in between the feet, and then extending the feet out, arms back up overhead, and then passing the block back to the hands. And then we're just extending and passing the block. We'll go for like 3 more. I think that'll be roughly 10. 2 more, taking a break if you need it. Just get that block back in the hands and rest soles of the feet down, arms out by the side. Double knee hug, windshield wiper, roll it out. What would feel good for you right now? Taking that option. If we are in that, well, wherever we're at, we're going to float our feet. We're in that double knee hug. We're just releasing or we're raising the feet up. Finding about that 90-degree bend. Toes are pointed. And then one at a time, we're just lowering foot down and raising it back up for 1. Switching sides, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Both feet resting down. Double knee hug, windshield wipers. Give yourself that little release. And finding stillness. Grabbing that block again, floating the feet, block in between the thighs with the stripe facing us. And we're going to work on those obliques. We're going to go for 1 minute each side as we exhale, twisting right, gazing left, and then option to extend those feet out, add that little kick out. And now from here, it's just you and your breath. Relax the face, the eyes, the jaw, the cheeks. Relax the shoulders and the hands. Just the core working. Where our breath becomes our friend. Keep it as your focus, your concentration. We're just here for one more inhale. And exhale. And then we're bending the knees, using the core. Knees coming over the hips, rolling out that lumbar. And then as we exhale, switching sides, twisting left, gazing right, maybe adding that kick out. And then settling in on this side again. Did any tension creep in? Can we let it go? No, when it gets hard, come to the breath. And just one more big breath in and out. And next inhale, bending the knees, knees over hips, setting that block down, double knee hug, happy baby, windshield wiper. Choose a release, roll it out, release, stretch it out, maybe. We're enjoying that little self massage, getting a nice imprint of the spine on the mat. And from here, lowering the soles of the feet down. We're preparing for a bridge. We're feet hip distance apart. We're going to scoot the shoulder blades together, arms out by our side, palms down. Then on an inhale, pressing hips up. Scooting shoulder blades together a little more, making a little more room to tuck the chin to the chest. Pressing the hips up, getting up a little bit higher, maybe even noticing a little stretch on the core. And then we're going to do 12 little pulses, just dipping the hips down, pressing them back up. 2 little pulses. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Exhale. Slowly lower. One vertebra at a time, reconnecting. This time we pull knees into the chest. We're bringing our hands behind our knees and beginning to generate some momentum, working the length of the spine, rocking and rolling, and eventually coming back up to seated. Maybe propping the hips up for a forward fold. Blocks can go under the knees, depending on how the hamstrings are feeling. From here, we're bringing both hands up overhead. And then as we exhale, reaching, hinging back flat as far as we can, and then eventually dropping the arms, rounding the spine, tucking the chin. And really start to slow things down here. Chin is tucked, breath is deep. Just giving us the time to relax the body. And now as we take those breaths, we have an option here on our inhales to pull the torso away from the hands and feet. On those exhales to sink in a little deeper, seeing if we've created any space. Can we lower that head down a little more? Reach those arms out a little further. Looking fantastic. And then your next inhale, we're slowly uncurling. Rising up one vertebra at a time. Removing any props we may have been using. And then for our twist today, seated twist, we're going to start bending the right knee and then crossing the sole of the right foot over the outside of the left leg. Placing our right hand behind us and then this left arm and wrap around the front of the knee or bring that elbow to the outside of that right knee and generate that twist. And an option to gaze over the back shoulder as well. Next inhale is slowly uncurling. Extending that right leg long. We're placing the left hand behind us, bending the left knee, crossing that foot over the right, and then choosing our option with that right arm. Elbow wraps around the outside of the knee or it curls around the front or it goes around the outside of the back, and we generate that twist. Adding that little neck stretch as well. On the next exhale, we're beginning to slowly come out of the twist, extending both legs long. Then with our block by our side, we can come right down into Shavasana right now. If you'd like to take an inversion, you can add a little inversion as well. Using these last couple minutes. However you wish. We want to ready to find that Shavasana. We can use the blanket as a pillow or a neck roll. If we like to close with an inversion, we can begin to prep for that bridge pose, arms out by our side, and then we're raising the hips up on inhale, sliding that block under the tailbone and gently lowering down. And now we are in supported bridge. We're in an inversion. Beginning to deepen the breath. Taking deep 3-part breath here, filling belly, ribs, and chest, and sending that exhale out to the fingers and toes. And begin to add any other movements that may feel good for your body right now. Another double knee hug, full body stretch, anything at all. Maybe rolling over onto your favorite side. Eventually, as we make our way back to that comfortable seated position, one final hip exercise, recrossing the legs. And wiggling that out. And closing with one final inhale. Inhaling both arms up overhead, gathering new energy for the day. Exhaling, hands to heart center, sealing that in, carrying that with us. And I thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to speak with me after class. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.